Welcome to Media Technology. My name is Mike Brown, and I'll be your instructor this semester. As this is an online course, we don't really get to interact that much, so I want you to be sure and reach out to me if you have questions or concerns. I'm available. We'll talk through that on Blackboard Shell, where you can find the information. But just, I want you to know that as the instructor, that's why I'm here. I'm here to answer your questions, to help you understand things that are difficult. So be sure and reach out and contact me if you're having any kind of difficulties, and I'll try to help you as best I can. So when you get on Blackboard, which should be open now, it's going to take you to the Welcome Start page, and the first thing you're going to see there is that an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription is required for this course. So you need to procure that before class starts on Monday, because you'll have things due that first week, and you're going to be needing this subscription to be able to do it. The university makes a Creative Cloud subscription available to you for $62 a year, which is an incredible deal. We work through a vendor, and you can just click here to purchase your student license. It's really simple. You use the ID, and it's a pretty straightforward thing for you to get your Adobe license. And again, you're going to need it. So unless you already have it, which you're probably paying more than $62 a year if you're not buying it through the university. But it is available also on campus. And if these were right last spring, so you may contact IT technology department if you have any need of using it on campus, if you are on campus. There's quite a few places that do have the Creative Cloud on their computers, but just do that if you need. Okay? There's a little information on here about what we're doing as a class. The first thing I want you to understand is that this course requires no, or assumes no, prior knowledge of the software we're going to be looking at. So if you're like, I don't even understand what Photoshop is, that's okay. If you do and you've been using it for a while, that's okay. Then the assignments will probably be a lot easier for you. But this is to help you develop your basic skills and understanding of the Adobe Creative Cloud. You may use it throughout your semesters here at University of Arkansas and beyond. So just know that these are basic skills. When you get to the final, you'll get to kind of go out beyond what we've learned, and you'll depending on what you choose for your final project, you'll be able to explore some of the more advanced skills in Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator or video, whatever you choose. So, but we'll talk about that when we get to the end of the semester. One thing about using the Creative Cloud, or really in design and in business, after you graduate forever, you're going to be networking with other people who maybe have better skills than you do. So don't be afraid to reach out and find help from other people. If you're struggling with one aspect of one of the software, ask your fellow students. Maybe I could start a group me to where you could ask questions of each other if you have problems. That's okay. That's what we do. The only thing that I ask is that you're at the controls when you create your work for this class. Don't say, oh, I need this graphic done. You're good at Photoshop. Would you make it for me? I want you to do it. Now, I can't control that, but you need to learn these skills. The only way to do it is by doing it. So don't be afraid to reach out to others for your help. You'll do it all the time. I still do it as a professional in the field. So there's a little information about me. Not that you have to read it. It's just there in case you want to. I do have a personal website that is run with WordPress. I'm guessing it'll load. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to load. There it is. So it's a real basic site. Very simple, clean interface that can kind of give you an idea of what you can do with WordPress. If you want to click around for a little bit, it has some different things, student examples, stuff like that just people have done in my classes before. So there's some galleries, there's some of my work, there's some of their work, there's some information. So if you'd like to, you can kind of go around through that and see what's there, but you don't have to. But I do want you to remember that in your My Grades, there's a little blue speech bubble that comes up. If I've made a comment on one of your assignments, it might be that if you've gotten a grade lower than you thought and you see that, click it for sure and see if there's something that you missed or you submitted incorrectly. But I also give kudos and job well done things too. So just be sure and click those little blue comments and you'll see if I made a comment on your specific assignment. Also, there's another option from IT Services, and it talks about it on that page. It's called the VDI environment. It's a virtual desktop interface for you to use if you can't, or if you don't have it on your computer or on a computer where you're at. So you can go through that and it will allow you to, let's see, is that on, I may have that on one of my, there's the remote desktop. It requires you to download something to the computer that you're using, but then you're actually on a computer on the campus and you're using, you can use Illustrator, InDesign, or Photoshop. So it's free, it's easy, pretty straightforward. It's just a little bit slower than using the software on your own computer. All right. So after you've looked at the welcome, you need to go to your syllabus and policies page. The syllabus is here. It's got a lot of information. I'd ask you to read through it, send any questions that you have, ask me any questions. I've got some contact information here. My email is a great way to contact me. Also, I put my own personal cell phone instead of my university number because it's a lot easier for you to get me on my cell phone. I'm in my office during my office hours, but the rest of the time we're not really on campus because of COVID. So just use that number if you need it. Text me, call me. I tend to respond to text probably quicker even than email because they come across my phone right then. Or just text me and say, I sent you an email. And I'll go on my email and check and try to help you solve your problem. I would ask you to be, considerate of that and don't give that phone number to just anybody and everybody. Use it for this class, but also, try to just call, before, 10 o'clock at night or something, because I tend to go to bed, not early, but I like my sleep. So there is some information on here about the subscription again, but also about the LinkedIn training videos, because we're not using any type of textbook. You don't have anything to buy other than the Creative Cloud subscription. The LinkedIn training videos that you'll watch are part of the university system. They pay for that for you. So just be sure there's a section somewhere that even just talks specifically about the LinkedIn learning. And you'll click there and you'll go and make sure it's in lesson 1 that you've got that set up. And you'll be using it every week for sure during the Photoshop and WordPress sections. We rely heavily on it. Okay, the deadlines you'll see for a late policy here. The deadlines are always listed on your assignments or on My Grades. It's also listed on the schedule. So you need to meet those deadlines for full credit. They're always at 11:59 p.m. The night that it's due or the day that it's due. Typically that's on a Sunday. Occasionally there are things that I ask you to do by a Friday or before if we need to, if you're going to need that for something else in another part of the assignment. So, okay, there's an inclement weather policy. There's, all kinds of information here that the university gives you about different things, different questions you might have about how this course will proceed. There's a typical computer requirement for the computer that you'll be using. So just familiarize yourself with that and reach out if you have any questions. There's an announcement section which you'll see. You can check anytime. Most of the times I also email the announcements to you. So, but they'll be available right there on the announcements tabs. And then on the schedule, you'll see you've got a list of all the due dates and what's due on that date. There's also a printable version of that. If you like to print things out, you can print that out and you can just make sure that you've completed all the things that you need to complete for each week's assignments. The assignments are in lesson folders. So if we look at that, well, that shouldn't be active, but it is. We'll look in here. Each of the lesson folders has the tasks for that week. So you've got your opening task to do. You've got some Photoshop things, an Illustrator thing, a couple things in WordPress, and an opening discussion forum, and then a quiz, all due the first week. And if you look back on the schedule, you can see that you've got a Photoshop intro, Illustrator trial, WordPress setup, introductory forum, and a quiz. So you've got 5 things to do this first week. So be sure that you have that software set up. Okay? You do have a few discussion forums throughout the class. Not a lot, but where you'll be interacting with your fellow students. You can always reach out to me, and if you need to have a web chat or a web conference, we can either use this Collaborate Ultra. We have a room here that we can meet into, or if you need, I can set up a Zoom link, or you can set up a Zoom link and send to me and meet me on Zoom. We kind of talk sort of face to face. Okay. There are a lot of resources that aren't necessary for the class that I've put on here. There is some help and support if you need Blackboard help. But there are some things like, just images that you can use that are royalty free and attribution free. So I've also got a thing here of my favorite actions in Photoshop, which I'll probably talk about during the Photoshop section, but you don't need to have to deal with that right now. There's additional resources for all kinds of information. There is the LinkedIn Learning instructions on how to log in and obtain your login for LinkedIn Learning. There's a stress relief. It's got some music and a couple of games. We got Class Gallery, where you can look back to the summer of 2021, just a few weeks ago. They just finished, and if you want to see what it looked like for some of the animated GIFs that some of the people created, you can do that right here on the page. Okay, there's also a very similar past assignments gallery. This kind of goes through each assignment and gives you some different motivation, I guess, to see what's been done and what you can do. Okay, so get to the welcome page. You can begin anytime. You can work at your own pace. Just because the schedule says things are due on the 29th And the 5th does not mean that things from the 5th could be turned in before the 29th. If you're very good at Photoshop already, you may breeze through these assignments in Photoshop, and that's fine. Just go ahead, work ahead. I'm typically going to open 2 to 3 weeks at a time. I'll probably start with 3 weeks open, and then each Friday another week or another 2 weeks will open. So always check on Friday to see if there's new content ready, if you're working ahead. If not, it's paced out to where you can easily complete these things within the week that they are assigned and due. So I would encourage you not to get behind. Getting behind just it takes off points from your work, but it also gets you stressed to have to try to complete a bunch of projects in a very short time. So keep up. If I see that you're falling behind, you'll probably get an email from me, and we'll talk about it. But it's a great class. It's really fun. I revamped a few of the assignments this summer just because I want people to have a fresh experience. But it's just it's really some fun things to do in the software that will benefit you throughout your whole college career. So good luck, reach out, and welcome.